Welcome back to B2B Marketing Agency Insights. I'm your host, Austin LaRoche, CEO of ATAK Interactive. Now, I'm going to get a little ranty today, okay? A little warning from the top. I'm getting a little ranty, all right? And what I'm getting ranty about is webinars. Not actual webinars, but the name webinars. I think it's time we stop calling them webinars. You want to know why? Because I don't want to go to your webinar, okay? When you tell me you got a webinar, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be me, a few other people, you're gonna go through a thing, it seems boring, you're probably gonna have a PowerPoint, it's gonna probably be poorly designed, and there'll be some Q&A at the end, and it'll be okay, or whatever. But it's just, I don't know, I think from a pre-COVID world, I was just bored out by webinars, and then COVID hit, and it was like, oh my gosh, we're all doing webinars. It's all we can do. It's webinars 24/7, all the webinars you can get. And I just think that there's better ways to frame it, because when you look at the functionality of a webinar, right, all you're doing is creating a Zoom that you're giving people access to. And then everyone's just in a Zoom room or whatever, I don't know if you use GoToMeeting or one of those other tools, but you should use Zoom. Anyway, you get everybody in the room and then you're talking and you're doing whatever. And so there's all sorts of ways that you can frame it so it doesn't sound as boring as a damn webinar. So why don't we talk about a few of those? First off, call it a roundtable. Get a couple of industry leaders. Go, hey, this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to have a little roundtable discussion about how our industry is going to be handling a post-COVID world. And then before you know it, instead of going to a webinar, I've got a roundtable of 4 industry leaders who are going to be explaining things to me that I think are going to be very valuable. And I'm going to have the opportunity to, ask them questions. Speaking of, if it's going to be more of a Q&A, why don't you just call it a Q&A? Make yourself readily available. Hey, I'm hosting a Q&A. Ask me anything. Very cool stuff. If it's going to be a smaller webinar, what if instead you have a webinar, you had an exclusive demo and you only invited 4 or 5 people, or maybe you invite as many people as you can possibly get in, but once you realize it's only going to be 4 or 5 people, then you say it's an exclusive demo that you only sent a few emails to because only the most important people could be in this demonstration, not webinar, right? I just think there's other ways of presenting it. I think you can even do something like a presentation, a virtual presentation. I'm more interested in a virtual presentation than I am a webinar. And I think this is an area where some creatives need to really come up with a new phrase to get me much more excited about going to these events, these digital events, because honestly, I don't want to go to your webinar. I'll go to your roundtable discussion. I'll go to your Q&A. If you invite me, I'll go to your exclusive demo or even your virtual presentation. And that's where we're at now. Let's see where we can get to tomorrow, because I'd really like to see the idea of the webinar evolve in a way that makes me much more interested to go to them. For all you guys out there who are doing webinars and you're killing it, congratulations. I'm really supportive of it. I really like webinars, but I do think it's time for us to just call them something else. And there we go. That was the rant. Hopefully it wasn't too ranty, okay? Hopefully anybody out there who's loving their webinars aren't like, oh, I don't think it's bad. But in case you are, sorry, gotta have a little bit of a point of view. And on that note, thanks for watching, and good luck growing.